Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1149.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, I'm going to cover the forecast that Ripple put out on their website called Crypto 2023, a focus on real-world utility. Now, this really caught my attention because a lot of things in here are very subtle. So what I did for my Be Wealthy and Smart VIP experience members was I spelled it out to them and read in between the lines because there was information that I've heard Brad Garlinghouse talk about before, and then it was just slightly touched on in this report. So I knew what he was referring to and what he meant when he just casually mentioned something that seemed very subtle. So I'm going to share that information with you today too and show you how this report seems so calm and so quiet, but how there's really amazing information in here and how it's so exciting for Ripple and XRP's future. So first, let's read what Ripple wrote. The arrival of a new year is often viewed as an opportunity for a reset or a fresh start. That sense of optimism is welcome in crypto as the industry settles from a roller coaster year. But it's also well-deserved as the negative headlines of 2022 clouded industry players that continued to make technological gains and maintained steady moves to the mainstream. So what does 2023 hold for crypto and blockchain? In a word, utility. This was the watchword of nearly every Ripple executive that weighed in with predictions for the year. From non-fungible tokens or NFTs to central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, to sustainability. Most of the expectations for crypto this coming year involve its application for real-world utility. The next section is called CBDCs and NFTs Get Real. Partly in reaction to the turmoil of 2022, Ripple SVP of Engineering, Devraj Varadhan, expects to see a general shift in the marketplace from highly speculative companies to companies that harness crypto solutions to solve real-world problems and address unmet customer needs. He believes these are the companies that will reap long-term success. A focus on real-world applications will also help propel the coming age of CBDCs. Cindy Young, Managing Director of Europe, says the potential for CBDCs to amplify the role of central banks and boost financial inclusion will lead more non-Eurozone European nations to announce CBDC pilots in 2023. James Wallace, VP of Central Bank Engagements, expects to see more CBDC pilot programs around the world in the year ahead, with an emphasis on interoperable CBDC solutions that enhance cross-border payments. This shift to utility extends to NFTs as well. While the first wave of NFTs centered around digital art and collectibles, there is already a nascent second wave exploring real-world use cases such as real estate and carbon markets. Ripple CTO David Schwartz says these types of applications that solve for efficiency and transparency in ownership will determine which use cases stick and whether NFTs are here to stay. The next section is called Institutions Double Down on Blockchain. Greater utility also lies at the root of continued institutional adoption of crypto and blockchain. Ripple SVP and Managing Director of APAC, Brooks Entwistle, believes concerns around liquidity will continue to weed out the crypto companies that have relied on hype cycles, and compares this evolution to the dot-com bubble, which showed a similar case of rapid growth, inevitable crash, and industry maturation. Despite the market downturn, Cindy Young expects institutions to accelerate long-term adoption of crypto solutions because of the potential gains in efficiency, transparency, and speed. Banks and other large financial institutions will invest in new technologies with an expectation of realizing the benefits not in days and weeks, but in years. So we see the embrace of digital assets and blockchain continuing throughout 2023 and beyond, she said. That has already been substantiated by firms like Barclays, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, MasterCard, Morgan Stanley, SBI, and Visa, all pursuing blockchain-related projects, from crypto custody and trading to payments and trade execution. The question for banks is no longer if they should have a crypto strategy, but rather what is that strategy and how do they plan to execute? The next section is called Greater Impact and Sustainability Through Crypto. Ken Weber, Ripple's VP of Impact, predicts that large non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, will begin to integrate crypto into their programming to better serve the financially vulnerable, such as refugees and displaced persons, because it can function as a cross-border payment mechanism when traditional corridors are compromised or ineffective. Crypto's real-world utility also extends to impact-oriented and sustainability-oriented initiatives. This is playing out now in Ukraine, where more than $50 million in crypto donations have helped bolster relief efforts and supported its defense against Russia. Many of the world's top charities, like Mercy Corps Feeding America, accept cryptocurrency donations because it is a faster and more effective alternative to international fiat transfers when time is of the essence. Crypto and blockchain are becoming increasingly important contributors to the fight against climate change. 2022 was a watershed year for crypto sustainability as the industry worked to reduce its own carbon footprint through the Ethereum merge and efforts like the Crypto Climate Accord and Change the Code that reduce Bitcoin mining's environmental impact. Innovative carbon removal companies like Carbon Cure, Carbon Title, and Newlight began to leverage blockchain to better track and sell carbon credits, and established companies stepped up with significant financial commitments, like Ripple's $100 million pledge to scale voluntary carbon markets and Hedera's $100 million Sustainable Impact Fund. Weber said this momentum will only continue in 2023, with carbon markets emerging as a clear use case for blockchain and crypto, accelerating the shift toward a greener global economy. The next section is called Connecting the World to Web 3. To help realize this utility and these impact goals, the team at Ripple expects 2 shifts to happen in the areas of training and development over the course of 2023. First, in response to corporate demand and an increasingly competitive talent pool, utilities will begin to more explicitly prepare graduating students for careers in crypto and blockchain solutions. Ripple's Senior VP of Strategic Initiatives, Eric Van Miltenberg, predicts that by 2025, at least half of all global universities will have incorporated blockchain, crypto, and Web3 into their core business and finance programs. Second, the industry will prioritize customer experience, specifically bridging the worlds of crypto and fiat. Varadhan says this is a major hurdle in crypto utility today, and that those companies able to master the on-ramps and off-ramps to crypto will earn a significant competitive advantage for years to come. The next section is called Common Sense Policy Changes. Of course, all this growth will prove unsustainable without further clarity on policy and regulation. Andrew Whitworth, Policy Director for EMEA, expects that regulators around the world will be more engaged in 2023. In particular, Gulf states such as Dubai, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain will push forward with new crypto frameworks for the region, while countries across Africa will make a strong pitch for how to maximize crypto solutions in service to their economies and citizens. In APAC, Policy Director Rahul Advani says growing consumer and business adoption of decentralized finance, or DeFi, applications will motivate regulators like the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, and Japan's Financial Services Agency, FSA, to press ahead with efforts initiated in 2022. Closer to home, General Counsel Stu Alderati expects to see the judge's decision in Ripple's ongoing case with the SEC in the first half of 2023, and one that's favorable to Ripple. He believes this will be the catalyst needed to push the U.S. crypto industry forward and to stop businesses from offshoring their crypto work. We fought this case on behalf of the entire crypto industry and American innovation so we can gain the regulatory clarity we desperately need for crypto innovation to flourish in the United States, he said. Susan Friedman, Ripple's Director of Policy, concurs, saying she hopes this year will be defined by a common-sense policy approach in the U.S. She is encouraged by leaders on both sides of the aisle throughout Congress engaging on new legislative solutions that protect consumers, clarify control over spot markets, and properly classify tokens. The next section is called Crypto Market Maturation. 2022 saw more than its fair share of collapse, with companies like FTX, Celsius, Voyager, and Three Arrows Capital, likely resulting in increased consolidation across the industry. Declining valuations and distressed assets will present opportunities to acquire capabilities and expertise that would otherwise require significant time and resources to build in-house. Young predicts that more crypto and blockchain firms will also be acquired by traditional financial services players and established companies from other sectors. She says this increased consolidation is a sign of market maturation and will lead to an overall healthier ecosystem. Ripple's Varadhan issued perhaps the boldest prediction, foreseeing the rise of the next Apple or Amazon in crypto solutions. He believes that the crypto and economic challenges of the past year will force companies to refocus on their visions and customer needs, and that the industry will emphasize unparalleled customer experience as a result. To achieve any vision, a company must have a customer-obsessed culture, a long-term focus, the courage to accept failure, and the willingness to double down when it sees customer delight, he explained. Ultimately, the entire Ripple team is optimistic that the crypto winter will give rise to a crypto spring, that 2022 will prove to have been a crucible year with the industry emerging stronger and more focused on real-world utility because of it. End of article. All right, there was so much in there. It was packed with great information. So I just want to point out a few little things that I think are potentially big things. And while Ripple pointed them out very subtly, I'm going to point them out a little bit more overtly. The first thing I want to point out is that banks are not going away. Because of the SEC lawsuit, Ripple saw their relationships with banks outside of the U.S. flourish. Their crypto policy and regulations are much more clear, and all of those countries have already determined that XRP is not a security, it's a currency. So to me, what that said about the banking system is that more banks have signed with Ripple. They had an extremely good year last year. And banks partnering with Ripple will provide the leading technology for banks with cross-border payments. The second thing that really stood out to me was the discussion around central bank digital currencies. Now, I've heard Brad Garlinghouse talk in the past about central bank digital currencies being more for in-country use, and I think most countries are going to come up with their own CBDC. What I think they're going to realize, though, is we're going to have to move from a fiat system to an asset-backed system, and that's somewhere in our future. But until then, we're going to deal with CBDCs and give them a try. In my opinion, much more regulation is going to come in this area, especially around stablecoins, and making sure that there are assets properly backing the stablecoins dollar for dollar. I think CBDCs are the next trend, but they're probably going to evolve over time into something that is asset-backed. Number 3, they talked about the real estate market and carbon credits. These are both enormous markets for tokenization and for valuation. Because Flare has now provided the ability for smart contracts, this can revolutionize real estate and closing a transaction, for example. And that's one area that is so obviously well suited for smart contracts, to have things automated, have a lot of the legal documents already prepared and automated, have title searches and loan documents and legal documents. It's just such a no-brainer to automate that whole real estate transaction. Likewise, carbon credits are a huge area of overall worth that is going to be flowing across new markets. Carbon credit markets are one of the biggest and most valuable that are going to exist in the world, from what I've heard. And Ripple has already said they are going after serving that market. So the carbon credit market, the real estate market, these are huge markets that Ripple is already focused on, and that's extremely good news for their future and for their future growth. The fourth thing that I heard is that banks will use XRP for currency exchange. The petrodollar, which was using dollars exclusively to trade oil, is not going to be the way of the future. Saudi Arabia has already made that clear. They're going to use other currencies to trade oil. So the petrodollar's days are numbered. However, I do think the dollar will reinvent itself and will still be important in world trade. Of course, XRP could be used to be a bridge from one value to another value, from one currency to another currency, from one country to another country, and trade currencies for commodities. So there's all kinds of things that XRP can be used to make trading easier. The fifth thing I heard was a little mention of Amazon and the next Amazon evolving. Well, we've heard Brad Garlinghouse say that Ripple plans to be the next Amazon. That is, he's used the analogy that Amazon started out selling one thing, and that was books. And then they moved into music, and then they moved into many other products, and finally offer just about anything that you can imagine online. And Ripple will be the same way. Now, they mentioned a potentially good year for Ripple in 2023. Stuart Alderati has said the lawsuit will be over in the first half of the year. I think there's a chance we might get it as soon as March, but it could be as late as June. Either way, 2023 is going to be spectacular for Ripple because we're going to have clarity, I believe. And I also believe the lawsuit's going to be resolved in their favor. After the lawsuit is over, Ripple has said they plan to do an IPO. So for the company to be going public, that's another real boost for Ripple and XRP. And then into 2024, we have more adoption of crypto and crypto assets that have real utility. Bitwise pointed out that crypto runs in 4-year cycles. And typically we use Bitcoin as the proxy for the entire crypto market because it was the first cryptocurrency and it is the largest cryptocurrency. And we know that Bitcoin had a negative year in 2022. It had a negative year 4 years before that in 2018, and it had a negative year 4 years before that in 2014. So every 4 years, crypto has gone negative, but the 3 years after that year, it goes up dramatically. So I believe 2023, 4, and 5 are going to be spectacular for the crypto industry and also for Ripple as it gets more momentum in the markets that it's going after, as it gets more market share, more adoption, more utility, and gets the use worldwide that we're expecting that it will. So all of that, I believe, was in between the lines in that Ripple report. And I just wanted to share it with you because I thought it was extremely positive, great news, and I was thrilled to hear it. And I concur with everything they said. There's probably a couple aces in their pocket that they didn't share with us that they'll tell us at a later date. So I think Ripple and XRP are extremely well positioned for the future, and I was very pleased to see that Ripple promoted Senior VP and General Manager Monica Long to the role of President. Congratulations, Monica. And congratulations, Ripple, on having your strongest year yet. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.